So there's been a lot of protests, and in left-wing states like California, which I am from, and other places, this kind of violence has been tolerated for years. Ever since the George Floyd incident over a decade ago, police forces in most blue states have simply tolerated and allowed civilians to terrorize, let me mute this here, to terrorize their cities and local citizens by burning and looting, and the police departments and the local state governments have done nothing to curb this behavior. So there is a big event planned for tomorrow, the No King's Day, by anti-Trump people who want to protest the parade that Donald Trump is going to have with the military in Washington, D.C. And so there is an expected potential for violence, because there usually is. And so Florida has a very different tactic, very different take than many other places in the U.S. This is a story from Scripps News Group. They write that Florida sheriff says deputies will kill protesters who break the law during the No King's Day. What's going on here? A sheriff in Florida threatened his community on Thursday, stating that if any protesters get violent or break the law, they will be killed. He said, "We will kill you graveyard dead." That is that is pretty straightforward, saying you found, you're going to find out. This was Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey, who during an anti-riot press conference alongside Florida Attorney James Uthmeier, said that No King's protests have been planned across the country for June 14th, coinciding with a military parade scheduled in Washington to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. It is also President Donald Trump's birthday. Ivey said peaceful protests are part of our democracy. And yes, they are. And he said the key word in that is peaceful. He's got a point. Brevard County is located on the eastern coast of Central Florida and is the 10th most populated county in the state, according to census data. He said, if you resist lawful orders, you are going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. Thank God, man. Nothing has been more annoying and irritating than these a-holes who think that they can essentially kidnap you, do a false imprisonment, blocking you on the streets, not allowing you to leave because they want to throw a temper tantrum. I cannot stand people like that. So if they're getting thrown in jail, that is amazing. I hope it's long prison sentences that they get, because to end this once and for all, you need to put really, really harsh penalties on people who want to block roads. Is what I say. Now, he said, if you flee arrest, you are going to jail tired because we're going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you are most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to go to the hospital and then jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. Do we have a video of this? I got to see this. I think we do.
You're going to jail.
Here we go.
If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired, because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave,
about damn time.
In our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have.
This is so amazing.
If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play.
I like this guy.
This has got to stop.
And he's right. This kind of has been going on far too long. We've been tolerating really bad behavior from people for a long, long time. And it escalates. The more third world behavior you allow, the more belligerent and crazy these people get. It's like California when they decriminalized theft. Anything under $1,000 suddenly became a misdemeanor. Well, then everybody started stealing. And then it escalated after a few months. Then you started getting gangs going in, and you get mobs of people all stealing under $1,000, 20, 30 of them at a time, robbing stores blind. And then it escalated. And eventually they just started taking everything because nobody could stop them. This is why it is so important to put an end to this kind of BS from these mad protesters, because we have always allowed protesters in the U.S. That's part of our national historical vibe of America, okay? However, outside of very unusual times in American history, we typically settle our differences at the ballot box. If you don't like what the government is doing, you go change it. You get people to vote differently, and you change your stars that way. But what's happened now, and really it started absolutely escalating during the first run-up to Trump's election in 2015, 2016, where it became orange man bad, Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. And so, if you're going after the Nazis, well, then everything's justified. You can do whatever you want. They're Nazis. That's where the idea of punch a Nazi came from. And it was a way to dehumanize people so that you didn't feel bad for harming them. The idea is you were no longer a human being. You were a Nazi. You were a homophobe. You were a racist. You were a bigot. These are all dehumanizing words designed to make the act of harming you okay in their minds. It's a rationality so that they don't feel like they are evil. People have an amazing capacity to make themselves feel like the good guy. I bet you Adolf freaking Hitler thought he was the good guy. I bet he justified it. He girl-bossed his way into the madhouse thinking that he was the good guy. Most people don't think that they're evil. They're bad. I mean, obviously some people do. But generally, everyone wants to be player one, character in their own life. The world tends to revolve around them. And they don't want to think that they're the bad person. So I am absolutely thrilled that this Florida sheriff is basically saying, you throw something at us, you bring Molotov cocktails, you point a gun at us, your family can come collect your remains. That is amazing. So we will see what happens tomorrow. It will likely get crazy, but I have a feeling that thanks to a lot of the arrests happening in Los Angeles and other places, where take LA, they've been sopping up hundreds of protesters who were doing criminal activities. And I think this is kind of putting the message out. You might see a lot less people doing really retarded things come tomorrow. So we will see. Who knows?